I'm going to welcome onto the stage some absolutely phenomenal people. So we have the Heaton family, Laura and Paul, and then ×2, we have Laura and Tim Revelle. I like to call the Heatons the Revelles of the North and the Revelles the Heatons of the South. So I'm going to talk for just 2 seconds. I'm going to talk about getting involved with CureDuchenne, but I think it's a little more valuable to hear from you guys, you know, what you've done to get involved with us. And we've built such an awesome relationship and friendship over the years. You've been so important to CureDuchenne, so I'm so happy to have you guys here today. Thank you. Action is therapy. Where's Deborah? Is Deborah in here? Okay, so I had to put this up on the slide because Deborah absolutely loves this saying, and I think a lot of us can kind of, you know, resonate with this. So action is therapy. The people that want to do something, we want to provide you options of what to do and how to do it. So here are a few things on the screen. So, you know, starting an online fundraiser, hosting a fundraiser, just sharing on social media. Amazon Smile is super easy. This is such a truncated view of the ways that you can get involved with CureDuchenne. So I would love for you to talk to anybody in a Futures t-shirt. We have a little exercise at the end of this panel. And I forgot to mention, I think we're a little empty right now because we have a session going on in the other room for carriers of Duchenne. So they're gonna probably trickle in and I can remind them of this. But if you see one of those people, you have a good idea, say, hey, or that you hear their idea, tell them to talk to us because we're happy to kind of make your ideas come to life. We have a really good team and we can make that happen. I want to talk a little bit about, you know, where are my dollars going or my efforts. You know, it's not always dollars. We believe fundraising is, you know, funding the cure is extremely important, but awareness is also important, and just, you know, talking about Duchenne is important. So where are they going? Do you recognize a few people on this screen? Does anybody know Mike Kelly in this room? Let's get a little round of applause for Mike. We have Liana Orlando, she couldn't be with us this weekend, and then Bradley Hodges, he's new to our team and he's absolutely wonderful. So where are my dollars going? CureDuchenne Ventures. I know that, you know, everybody's probably heard this word, but this is our venture philanthropy team. We use a venture philanthropy model. And we kind of, you know, I'll click to the next slide here, it's a little graphic for us. So find, fund, and foster. So we have incredible, you know, experienced scientists and business development people that go out and they say, hey, this looks interesting to us. And it's not just interesting, this is early science. We're trying to see, you know, get ahead of the curve. We know Duchenne is a big disease, right? We know that even gene therapy and exon skipping, there's gonna be problems downstream. How do we fix those problems? We need to be looking into the future. These are the people that are looking into the future for us. They're so smart. So much smarter than me. Thank God they're here. All right, so, you know, what we do is kind of find and then we fund, right? So this is where your donor dollars are going. And foster, this is a really cool part of it. So not only do we find and fund, but Mike, Liana, and Bradley meet with these companies. They advise them. They kind of foster that relationship. They're with them throughout the entire process to make sure that the Duchenne community and what we need to do is front of, you know, it's priority for them. So it's a really amazing model, and we've been very successful. So I'm going to toss up a few things on the slides here. I see a few companies that have already spoken, that are here this weekend. A couple of them here. Do you recognize some of these people? I see PTC, I see Dine, Geneo, they're going to speak later today. So the list continues and it grows. I want to introduce, you know, the Heaton family because we can come up here and talk about venture philanthropy and, you know, what we do, but these are the people that are out actually doing it. So I want to tell you, or I want them to tell you a little bit about their journey, where they started. Here they are in the hat. You see, it's real. This isn't like a get-up. This is actually Paul and Laura. So they're going to tell you about their journey, and we're so excited to hear about it because you guys have something so special going on. So here's the clicker. Give it to Laura. Good idea.
Hi, we're Paul and Laura Heaton. We live in Warden, Montana. See, maybe you should run the clicker. And we hold the annual Cavs Secure DMD all-class cattle sale in Billings, Montana. To give you some background, our daughter Elise is 9, and our son Grant turned 8 last week, and he was diagnosed with Duchenne when he was 3 years old. At the time, he was exhibiting what we now know as the classic Duchenne symptoms of the waddled gait and falling down and wasn't jumping, things like that. So at the time, his pediatrician kept telling us he'll grow out of it, and I was like, he tells us that one more time, we're going somewhere else. So of course we went somewhere else, and we did a Shriners screening in our area, and they referred us to Shriners Hospital in Spokane, Washington. So we made some trips out there and did some physical therapy tests, and blood work confirmed he had Duchenne, which was of course something we had never heard of before. And so that's when we really started learning what Duchenne is and what can and can't be done for it. We started trying to find doctors in our area, which was pretty limited, and
fighting insurance,
learning stretches, things like that. And we were fighting insurance a lot because you had to at the time, of course, but I think it was also because we needed our focus somewhere, and we couldn't really do much for Duchenne. There's not really much you can do other than stretches every day at the time. And so we kind of was like, we needed to do something with our energy and focus, so we needed to turn it into something positive, which is when we come up with fundraising.
Yeah, like Laura said, the beginning, everybody here knows how tough it is, and you're looking up stuff and trying to figure out what you can do and what not to do, and you find out there's a lot of stuff you can't do. So we were visiting, and we'd participated in a couple walks and runs, and it was fun, and we were raising money. We didn't really know anything other than that about it. So we were kind of talking one winter and decided that we wanted to do a fundraiser. And then we're like, well, what are we gonna do? In our area, we live 30 miles from the biggest city in Montana, and it's about 100,000 people. And there is, from about this weekend on, there's a walk, a run, or something going on constantly till snow hits the ground. Then once the snow hits the ground, there's dinners and auctions and silent auctions and stuff like that. So we wanted something that kind of fit with us and our family and friends all over the state. Our state's huge. It's a big state, but it's one small town basically all over, So through the years, we've got to know a lot of people, and when they found out about our diagnosis, they're like, hey, we want to help, what can we do? And you have that point where you're like, yeah, nothing, this is what it is. So when we started our fundraiser, we wanted something that everybody in our family and around the state could participate in, and make it easy for them, because if they have to drive 300 miles to get there, they got to have something to show for it. So we came up with the idea of holding an all-class cattle sale. And the cattle sale idea started, kind of with, hey, we've got a couple bucket calves, let's sell them, and then we can donate the money. And then it kind of grew from there. I went and helped some friends ship cattle in the fall, and I talked to Ty Thompson at BLS, which is one of the stockyards in town. And I talked to him, and he's a pretty sharp guy. And as soon as I told him what we were thinking of, he's like, yes,
He's in.
yeah, we'll do this. This is good, really good. And then talked to him, and he's like, you guys are limiting yourself too much, to just calves. He said, just do an all-class cattle sale. Anybody can bring anything in, a cow, a steer, anything, and then donate a portion of their check. So that's what they do. They bring in animals, donate a portion of their check, and they get to decide, the seller gets to decide how much they want to donate. They can donate all their check, which it happens, and it blows me away,
That's awesome.
But like us personally, we've donated something every year, and we donate 50% of the check, mostly because we don't want people to feel like they have to donate the whole thing. And they can do a set dollar amount, and on top of that, we raise just cash donations. People that don't have anything or aren't going to make it to town that day mail us a check, and then we get it sent to CureDuchenne. Our first cattle sale was in 2019, and it was you know, we didn't know. We'd never seen anything like that.
How it turned out.
Yep, and we lucked out and talked to people around the state that we knew, and they just bailed in, you know, handing out flyers, talking to people, Brandons and working cows, like, hey, that one's not gonna go when you ship everything, take it down to Billings, sell it at this sale right here and explain it to people. You know, word of mouth has been a huge,
Yeah,
huge thing for
absolutely.
us. Facebook is good too. I hated it when we first started it, but I don't think we could do this without social media, really. You know, once we kind of got the logistics figured out, we wanted to decide where to go with the money, and we'd use some CureDuchenne resources, you know, when we were diagnosed, you know, figuring out stuff. And then we got to looking into ventures and how everything works. And we were kind of talking about a 501c3 and
Yep.
going that route. But once we got to looking into CureDuchenne, we're like,
Why reinvent the wheel?
yeah,
Let's join this
yeah, this
organization
is,
and-
if we were gonna set up something, this is what it would be, so, you know, not to sound lazy, but we'll just send the money to them, and we know
Yep.
they're gonna do what we want with
Yep.
it.
They've already got the connections. They
Yep,
got where the
and
money needs to go.
the venture model and the way it works is one of our big selling points when we're talking to people.
Yep.
You know, we can show people where the money's going. You know, agriculture is the biggest industry in our state, and the guys that are in it, you know, they know where every dollar's going. Every animal that they have is going towards a payment for something.
It's their livelihood.
Grass, feed, pickups, houses, land, everything. So to have such a big ask for them to give part of their livelihood to this cause, I use the ventures as showing them that, hey, we've raised this much money and here's where it's going and here's what it's doing. I explain to them that it's throwing darts at balloons, and sometimes you hit one and sometimes you don't, but you got to keep going and you're going to get it done.
Definitely.
So if you're thinking of starting a fundraiser,
Do
do anything you want. I mean, there is no limit to how you can do a fundraiser. Do
Something you know.
something you know and something that you want to participate in, and don't be scared. I mean, just go into it. You know, even the donate button on Facebook page, that's a fundraiser. You know, just keep going. It'll help you out so much just personally.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the hard thing for us was we couldn't do anything. And by doing this, it gave us something to do, and to get that energy in and get our family involved. The kids, you know, they like the sale. Elise sits up there and helps hand sales slips to the auctioneer. She sits up there for the whole sale. And Grant, he gets up there and says thank you and waves at everybody. And he hates being the center of attention, but he can sit in the stands and watch everything come through the ring and participate that way. And it's a really good deal.
And it's back to action is therapy.
Yeah, you know, and the other half of our sale, and we never even thought of this, we just wanted to do a fundraiser, you know, just let's do it. Is so many people now have heard of Duchenne, you know, and they've heard about it by us telling our story, which I don't want to say it gets easier,
Right.
but it's a story that has to be told. So you tell it, and you keep telling it, and you keep telling it, and you keep telling it, and you get it done. And, you know, families will start coming out of the woodworks that you didn't know were there. You know, like, hey, what are you guys doing for this or doing for this? And that's been the other half of our
Yeah,
sale.
the
And-
connections are huge. part
Yep,
of it.
yeah. So in our sale, you know, kind of some good tips for if you are doing a fundraiser, excuse me, is we start early and often. You know, our sale is in September, usually around the middle of September before the big fall run of cattle comes. But the people that are bringing animals in are busy and a long ways away, you know, 200-300 miles. We get stuff from all over the state that comes to our sale. So we start word of mouth, you know, everybody that's helping us, there's 13 people around the state that are helping push the sale, and they're out talking to guys and get out there and talk to them and early and often and just keep going with
Keep it on their mind.
Yep, you got to keep it on people's minds so they don't forget about it. Every year I run into somebody that says, oh, I was going to bring something down, but we got busy and it totally slipped my mind. So if I hear that once, I know it's happening to other guys. So the more you can get it out there, the better. And then after the sale, another thing that it might be my favorite part is after the sale is doing the thank yous and sending them out.
Yeah, we send handwritten thank yous to everyone, and that adds another level there.
Yeah, make sure that everybody knows how much we appreciate it and keep them in the loop for next year and just keep going with our sale. So this slide here is hope for the future, and hope, like everybody in here knows, when you're first diagnosed, it goes away. I mean, it just goes away from the beginning. But hope is something that just keeps creeping in, no matter how much you fight it. And I'll admit it, I fought it. I fought it for a couple years.
Yep.
You know, you don't want to think that far ahead, get ahead of yourself. You're trying to concentrate on so many different stuff. But our fundraiser brought hope back into us.
Absolutely.
You know, we can see what we're doing. We're actively fighting against Duchenne. So it does come in, and hope's what keeps you going. I mean, it really does.
You gotta have it.
So that's our story for our sale, and we're gonna keep going with it for as long as we can. You know, if there's one thing if anybody has any questions or wants to know about fundraising, talk to Carrie and she'll give you my phone number. I will talk to anybody about it. And everybody can do this. It sounds hard, but it's not once you get into it. It's way easier than you'll ever think it was. So.
Yep, and if you do something that you know already, it makes it so much simpler if it's something that's part of your life already.
Totally. And I guess we'll leave you guys with the one catchphrase that it ain't really good, but if you're able to, eat beef and cure Duchenne.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. I just want to say, if you do give Paul your phone number, he'll call you at 6 a.m. before his workday starts on a Friday morning quite often. Everybody should be up. Yeah, that's what he said. And I want to pass this over to the Ravel family, someone who has been here way longer with CureDuchenne than I have. So we call you kind of the OG family. But I can't wait to hear all about kind of your journey. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's been a wonderful weekend for all of us. We're blessed to have this opportunity to come together in community, to spur one another on, to share our stories together. And Laura and I are blessed to share our story briefly with you guys. Laura and I have two sons, Timothy and Andrew. Timothy is 18 and Andrew's 15. And I've asked my wife, Laura, to share the background of what happened with us and how we found CureDuchenne.
In 2003, Timothy was born, and when he got to about, the age that was supposed to be walking, he wasn't walking, and so we didn't think anything about it for a while until it just kept progressing and he wasn't going anywhere. So we went to a doctor, and the doctor ran some tests. We didn't know what tests he was running, and came back saying that Timothy had a muscle disease. And that's kind of where our journey started, where we found out it was Duchenne, and I started to do a lot of research because I didn't know anything about it. It's not in my family. And so I started doing Google search for somebody doing events to raise money, because I asked my husband to start a marathon to help us. And I was Googling families that were Christian who were doing fundraisers for kids with Duchenne, and I happened to come across Deborah and Paul's website, and so I told my husband about it, and that's kind of where our journey started, was he called her, so how to fundraise through his running.
So we were devastated, and we were hopeless, as we all were, and we decided we wanted to do something. So Laura said, I'm just a blockhead that can move my legs. I don't have any kind of physical training, but she said, why don't you just go run 26.2 miles and ask people to sponsor your steps? All right, I'll do it, sign me up. So we contacted the Millers, and actually, I'll never forget the day. Hawken Miller showed up with his parents. He was 8 years old. He was this amazing light and smiling, and they came, and it was a freezing cold weekend, and that's how our journey began. We formed a website. I had learned a saying many years ago: when I got busy, I got better. And we formed a website, and we wanted to raise money. It was amazing. The outpouring of love. We raised $15,000 that first race, just by putting a website and an email out saying, we want to help our son, we want to save his life. And those were the building blocks to what began our journey. We ran that first year, we raised $15,000, and then we decided, well, we seeing that we're making an impact, so let's do it again. So the next year, we ran another one, and we raised $12,000. And it continues to progress. We continued to the third year, and then the fourth year. Lo and behold, the Austin Marathon formed a formal charity program, and they allowed CureDuchenne to be part of that charity program. And about 7 years ago, they allowed the charities that were part of their formal program to start receiving a matching grant. So if we raise $10,000, then we get a $10,000 match. So we just finished our 17th Austin Marathon in February, and we were once again blessed to raise $10,000, and they matched that $10,000. So running the marathon is a beautiful thing. I could spend the rest of our time talking to you guys about how running a marathon correlates with battling the disease of Duchenne perfectly. It's strenuous, it's focused, it's disciplined, but it's rewarding as well. So what happened after the first couple of marathons, we got the bug for fundraising. We saw that we were making an impact, and CureDuchenne started developing relationships with scientists and doctors in different places, and we saw that our money was going toward research and making an impact. So Laura and I decided we wanted to do something bigger than just running a marathon. We wanted to be able to raise more significant dollars to continue to fund more research. So we decided we would step out and do a golf tournament. And I call it a rinky-dink golf tournament because we had about, 50 people play in the first one. And Paul always tells me, Tim, don't call it a rinky-dink golf tournament, because what that did was that was an excuse for us to go to the office of Coach Mac Brown. Mac Brown had actually just won the national championship in college football. Both Laura and I are graduates from the University of Texas, and it's in our family. We have noticed the burnt orange writing. That was Laura's fault. I showed up to Mac's office to leave information about our rinky-dink golf tournament. And you know how God works? He works in mysterious ways. Lo and behold, his beautiful wife, Sally, got my information, and I had my phone number on it, and she called me. It's just amazing. Who calls you when you leave information? It doesn't happen very often. Well, she called me, and I asked her for a coffee to tell her about the disease and about Timothy and Andrew. And she received the information. We sat down and had a coffee, and she said, you know what, Tim? It's a blessing what Mac and I can do with the position we have. We can do a lot of good for people with the position we have. So what can we do for you? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe we can form an event together. And she said, yeah, let's do that. I want to get some people involved. Let's do an event. So we put together an event that we have now formed a title called Champions to Cure Duchenne. And so Mac and Sally had just won the college football national championship. So they were champions. But ultimately, our sons are champions. They're champions for what they go through every single day. So we dedicate our event to them every single year. So the first 3 years, Mac and Sally Brown, actually pictured here, they were our champion figureheads that helped put their name on the event. The very first year, we were blessed to raise $100,000. We netted $100,000, I should say. I like to refer to the numbers with our event as net, because the net is what goes toward research, which leads to a cure for our children. So that first year, we raised $100,000, and that money was stemmed to the very early gene therapy research. And this afternoon, if you stick around, Dr. Jeff Chamberlain was going to be here to talk about gene therapy. So that first year, that $100,000 actually went to Jeff Chamberlain. So we saw a success the first 3 years with the Browns, and much like the marathon, people rallied around the message of what CureDuchenne is doing, funding research, and then ultimately what it led to is the community. And this weekend is all about community. We see that. The community where we have Champions to Cure Duchenne is in the north part of Austin, northwest Austin. The community has rallied around this event. It's become a party for them. People are moved by the message. They show up each year. We do an outdoor event. It's a gala setting, casual, in Austin, Texas in the spring. We have a dinner, we have an auction in the casino, and every year it continues to grow. We actually just finished our 13th year this past April, and every year it continues to be a blessing for us. But what happened after the first 3 years, after Mac and Sally supported us personally with their friends and their time, they also had other charities that they were passionate about. And it wasn't just CureDuchenne, there was a couple of others that they were supporting. Well, Mac Brown got a phone call from a country and western singer named Jack Ingram. It was a text message at 1 a.m. in the morning and said, hey, Mac, we need to form an event. Let's get Matthew McConaughey together with us, and let's do a huge event. Let's do a weekend event. We'll raise a bunch of money. We'll have fun, and we're going to bless children along the way. And Mac said, okay, I'm in. So they put together their own event called the Mac, Jack, and McConaughey event. And they just wrapped up 4 weeks ago. They just had their 10th year. They come together. They have a golf event. They have a gala, and a headliner does a concert. We've had John Cougar Mellencamp one year. The Dixie Chicks played one year. This year was Kenny Chesney. He does a concert. And then they have, on Friday, they do another golf tournament. There's a ladies' fashion show. So there's lots of ways for the community in Austin to get involved. And it's actually spread now outside of Austin. We have people that the owner of the Washington Redskins comes, the founder of Nike comes, and they all participate and donate. And CureDuchenne is one of the 5 beneficiaries of this event. So much like the marathon doing champions, all of it is momentum, and it keeps building. So I got together with our event coordinator and decided, we need to continue to develop and cultivate relationships with new people. So what's something unique that we can do? I sat down to have a coffee with her one day, and she said, you know what? We should do an exclusive ladies luncheon and invite ladies to come and have a lunch with us and hear about CureDuchenne. So we now have formed another event that's called our Ladies Luncheon. Ladies come and wear big hats and have a lunch, and we tell our story. So to wrap up, what can you do about your pain? Much like you heard from the Heatons and the Revels, getting involved is a way that we deal with our pain. I'm a guy who loves to use props. I grabbed one of Timothy's prescription bottles, and this says Cure on it. So instead of opening a bottle to get out a prescription for him today, what's inside the bottle that says Cure? It's a slip that says fundraising. Fundraising. So for our family, we found that fundraising is a wonderful way for us to raise awareness, to share Timothy and Andrew's story, and to ask people to back our research. People are looking for a reason to be on a winning team. People want to be involved. They want us to ask them. We heard that yesterday in the keynote talk, that they said that people find joy in helping us. So we need to take the opportunity to give everybody the opportunity to find joy in their life. And how do we do that? We do that by asking for help. It's really simple. Just ask for help. We're going to have slips, I think somewhere located in the tables around. Today, we're going to give you guys an opportunity. If you've been inspired by the events that we've shared, the Heatons and the Revels, there's simple things that we all can do. We all live in different worlds. We're involved in different things. It's simple to get involved in fundraising. Whatever you're passionate about in your life, you can involve people in that. So when we leave tomorrow or the next day when we go back to our lives, we're going to be full of hope. Take some time right now and write down an idea if you're excited or interested in fundraising. Write those down, and we have staff members that can help equip you to get involved, doing a run, doing a luncheon, something. But you guys are the advocates for your children. You know that. You're here because you care about your children. And you guys can help find a cure for your child. And it starts with fundraising. So thank you all. I have a saying that I appreciate. Bloom where you're planted. Bloom where you're planted. What can you guys do today? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, guys. Thank you both. All right. Let's take action. So as Tim said, in front of you are those cards. And really, like, this could be just an idea. It could be a saying, something like bloom where you are planted. We want you guys just to tangibly take action today. Tim, when we were kind of talking about this session, what you said was, yeah, you go back to your busy lives and you sort of, the plate gets full again. So just take a pause and think, I want to do this. I want to take action this way, and it could be helpful to you. But thank you so much to the families here. You've done so much for CureDuchenne, and you've rallied your communities, and you've made our lives fuller, just by being, I got to go to the calf sale. I'd love to go to your fundraiser sometime, and it's been amazing. So we would love to do more of this. We want to get involved with all these families. It's really amazing to hear your stories and to get your communities involved. I think people do want to help, and we have to fund the cure. This is how we're going to cross that finish line. So we welcome you to join us.